Substats here, and I want to welcome you back to another video that I'm doing on how I'm fixing my Raid Shadow Legends free-to-play account. Tonight, I'm actually going to be talking about gear. Talking all things about gear, I think. First off, where you get it, what to use, what to keep, and possibly more important, what not to do in regards to gear. So let's get started. First off, where are we going to farm our gear from? You have a lot of different options on farming gear in Raid Shadow Legends, most of which come in the dungeons. You start in Ice Golems. Most gear from Ice Golems, pretty rarely used. Not much of it is really viable for most parts of the game. There are some exceptions. But in large, you're not really going to use most of the sets or many pieces from the sets from Ice Golems. Most just aren't very useful. Defense really is the one that springs to mind that is useful out of Ice Golems. And that's pretty much kind of where it ends for me. I know other people have different opinions, but not real big on Ice Golems. Dragons is a great place to farm gear. If you are mid to mid-late game, great place to farm gear. A lot of sets in Dragons is very useful. Things like lifesteal, speed, accuracy, those are going to be very important for you in that mid to late mid-game run, and some of them even carry over deeper into late game. Things like Stalwart and Daze have their spots as well. So it's a good place to farm gear, but again, not until probably mid-game or late game. You don't want to spend a lot of energy in Dragons until you can farm the right spots. Next one here is your Fire Knight. Fire Knight, more in-game friendly gear. Not really too useful for most folks that are in the early to mid-game. These gear sets really need to be 6-star gear sets, or in some cases 5-star gear sets to be useful. And the reason for this is that your other gear that you would use to pump your main stats, things like crit rate, crit damage, defense, accuracy, speed, instead of using set bonuses to get you where you're trying to get to, you can use these other set bonuses because you're able to farm enough stats out of the pieces without using the set bonus stats. That's really kind of where Fire Knight comes into itself, until you're able to get to the point where you're farming high-end gear really kind of late game. Not the best place to be farming until you get there. Spiders is your next spot. Spiders the only place you can go to farm jewelry. Jewelry is great. It's a great thing to farm because it gives you a lot of silver, and I mean a lot of silver. You can really farm quite a bit of silver out of spiders by selling a lot of the stuff that get a lot of the jewelry that you get out of there. However, I wouldn't really recommend farming spider until you're at like stage 10 or better. Otherwise, you're just going to farm jewelry that you're going to outgrow really almost before you get there. So you really don't want to spend a lot of time in spiders until you are in that mid game at the earliest. One place that a lot of people don't think about farming gear from, and it's a real shame, is your campaign. Because you can get, especially early on, you can get a lot of gear out of your campaign that's useful up into early mid-game tiers. Gear that's going to be able to scale to get you to the point that you can start farming those dungeons, things like dragons, Fire Knight, Although again, Fire Knight I'd hold off on until later. Um, but while you're leveling your first few characters, man, you can live off of gear out of the campaign. One of the great things with farming out of the campaign is that you're getting the set you want for the character you need it on. Right, your champ, depending on who your champ is, they may need to have an accuracy set. They may need to have a speed set. Apothecary, one of my favorite champs. Man, I mean, you can basically just, even to where I'm at in kind of the mid-game region, you can just run him on speed set. I see in-game people that run him simply off of speed sets. Nothing but speed, just speed, and make sure that they get some defensive substat rolls. And you can do that, especially early to early mid-game, farming it straight out of Brutal Stage 6. You can get 5-star uncommon gear farming those nodes. So if you need a set of speed boots with the speed main stat, you can go into 12.6. You can go to stage 6, and you can farm this until the gear that has the speed, the 5-star uncommon, and the first substat that you're looking for, depending on who your character is, what it is. If it's Apothecary, you probably want defensive percentage as that first substat to drop. And you can farm this until you get that piece to make that champion a stronger champion. Another place, though, and kind of the last place I'm going to talk about, where you can go to get gear. And most people will tell you, will frown on this, but it's the marketplace. I do not recommend that you go to the marketplace specifically looking to buy gear. However, every time you refresh the marketplace, you should go in and check out your gear. Right? If there's a 4-star helm that will work for you, that will help you, grab it. Like, this would be a fantastic piece if you were building a Kale to simply run in a clan boss, because you need as much accuracy as you can, and you want to have lifesteal so that you can heal himself every time he attacks and make him last longer, right? So a lifesteal helm with accuracy roll on it is great. You also, you'd love to see something with speed on it, maybe. I don't particularly recommend buying 3-star or lower gear, but if you get a 4-star piece that has some substats on it like that helmet does, that's not a bad thing. A bad purchase, especially early on. They're not terribly expensive. When you start getting into the 5-star and the 6-star stuff in the shop, and they're rares or epics, that stuff can get really super expensive. And it's got to have all the stuff on it that you want. But not a bad place to go looking for some gear. And again, you're going to be in there anyway, because you're always going to refresh so that you can look for mystery shards to purchase, right? So while you're in there, take a look at the gear. If there's something that is specific that fits what you're looking for, grab it up. Next, we're going to talk about what are you going to keep? What gear while you're farming? What gear are you keeping? Right, because we only have so many slots to hold gear in. So what gear do you want to hold on to? And what gear do you just want to go ahead and sell outright? Just get rid of it. This is a little more tricky. Early game, it's not too bad, especially if you're farming in normal, hard, or even brutal campaign, because it's simple, right? You're going after the lifesteal gear, you're going after speed gear. Those are really the two primary things that you're looking for to farm in campaign early game, because those are the stats you need to allow you to progress, right? you want to find uncommon 4 and 5 star gear, and in that secondary stat roll, you're looking for things that are speed, accuracy, defense. That's early game. Once you start moving up, you start getting into the early mid game, into mid game, especially if you start, farming the dungeons in stage 13, 14, 15s to get really good gear so you can continue to progress your account. You need to pay a little more attention to what you're keeping. You don't want to go overboard. You don't want to keep a ton of stuff that you're just never going to use. It's going to get in the way. It's going to make it harder to find the right stuff when it's time. And so let's take a look at a bad example of what I've done here, right? I have my Kale. He is primarily used for my clan boss, so I've focused on accuracy. Got 162 accuracy, and it's okay. I'm getting by with everything. I'm getting by with him, landing his poisons and such. But I didn't focus on any defense. I didn't put any lifesteal gear on him. I focused strictly on running accuracy gear. What I would have liked to have done also, I didn't have any speed. Anytime that you're looking at these top 3 pieces, your helmet, your weapon, or your shield, you're looking for one of a very few substats, right? You're not looking for a ton of stuff on the substats on here. You don't have to worry about the main stat at all because the main stat stays the same. Main stat stays the same for every one of them. If it's a weapon, it's going to be attack. If it's a helmet, it's going to be hit point. If it's a shield, it's going to be defense. So you're simply looking at substats here to determine what you're going to keep. Okay? If it's a weapon, a helm, or a shield, there are 4 things that I look for on it. First off, speed. I want speed on every single one of those pieces. Secondly, is going to be kind of a mixture depending on what I'm looking for. If it's a guy that I just need to be fast and I need defense, then I'm going to look for defensive percentage. If it's a champion that, like Kale, where I need to land poison, so I need accuracy, right? I am looking to run speed. I still want speed. Got to have speed, right? Speed is king in this game, so I need speed, and I'm going to look for accuracy. If it's a damage dealer where I need them landing criticals to do skills or just to pump out the damage, critical rate, right? Speed, critical rate. Do they need accuracy? Okay, well, maybe we can throw that in there, but depending on who your champ is, what their primary goal is, that's where you're going to focus on. But those 4 are your primary substats that you need to have at least one of. If you're early game, if you're mid game like me, if it doesn't have at least 2 of the substats you're looking for, straight into the straight to sell every time, right? A few abilities that substats that you are just going to automatically sell. If you're finding a bunch of flat HP, flat attack, flat defense, resistance. I don't really keep much resistance here. If you're finding flat stats, sell it. Get rid of it. Keep it out of your inventory. Don't put it on your champs. It's never going to level with you. It's never going to do anything more than what it's doing for you right now. When we talk about gloves, there's 3 main stats that you look for: early to early mid game, defense, crit rate. As you start creeping into the later game where you can build enough crit rate off of substats, then you can look at crit damage. But early to mid game, really 2 main stats that you're looking for: either crit rate or defense percentage. If it's a flat stat, get rid of it. For the chest piece, kind of the same thing here. Defense percentage, hit point percentage, attack percentage, depending on what you need on that character. Those are the three that you're looking for. Again, if it's a flat stat, just sell it. Don't keep it. It's not what you're going to want. Finally, looking at boots. Boots, you almost always want speed. Almost always do you want speed as your primary stat. Although I will keep one set or one boot with defense percentage in each set, just in case I need a defense percentage boot for a champ out of that set. Otherwise, if it's not a speed boot, it's gone. And when talking about substats for all three of these, the gloves, the chest, and the boot, again, you're looking for speed, you're looking for accuracy, you're looking for crit rate, crit damage. Defense percent and HP percent are great, but not your primary is what you're looking for, but they're nice if they're on there. Flat stats, unless it rolls like crazy speed, you get 2, 3, or heaven forbid you get 4 rolls on speed and it's got a flat HP, okay, fine, keep it. Otherwise, let that thing go. Okay, talking about jewelry, if it's a ring, I want defense. That's what I want as the primary stat. I want defense, and I'm looking at substats. I'm simply looking for HP percentage and defense percentage. That's it. Okay, necklaces. I'm looking for defense or crit damage depending on that character. Right? Substats on the necklace, I'm looking for 2 again. I'm looking for accuracy or I'm looking for defensive percentage. Flat stats, gotta go. Lastly, the banner, I'm almost always looking for accuracy. However, I will keep 1 defense or 1 HP for each faction if it's got good substats, because sometimes you do look for that instead of accuracy. You do have the odd champ that doesn't need that accuracy. Apothecary is a great example of that. I would be looking for a defense at banner instead of an accuracy banner. When it comes to substats, again, 2 main substats I'm looking for: speed or defensive percentage. I'm not upset with hit point percentage or attack percentage, but if they're flat stats and that's all they're showing when I pick them up, they're getting sold. I don't need flat stats rolling a bunch of times when I'm leveling it up. It's a waste of money. Sell it, pull the money out of it, and start running from there. Lastly, the last thing I want to talk about, and this is maybe as important or more important than all of the other topics I've covered, what not to do when it comes to gear. These are all things that I did, and I know I did these things. First off, do not farm the dungeons too early. Right? A good rule of thumb is if you cannot auto farm stage 13 of these dungeons, only exception here may be a spider where you go stage 10. But other than that, if you cannot farm stage 13 on auto, don't bother, because you're going to outgrow your gear faster than it's worth even spending the money or the silver to level up to put it on your channel. Farm the campaigns where you can get 5-star gear, and farm the campaigns where you're getting the sets that you're looking for. Second mistake, not that I made, and I'm hoping you guys learn from, is do not just use gear because it's got the higher star quality. Right? Just because it's a 5-star piece and you're currently wearing a 3-star piece, don't throw it on thinking that it's better. Because if without the proper substats, you're not actually going to be able to progress your character, your champion, the way you really want to do that. And the last thing is don't hoard gear here in your vault, you know, if it doesn't meet those requirements, if you've got a bunch of flat stats, or for me, I don't keep anything 3-star or lower ever at this point. And really, I'm kind of getting to the point where I really need to start weeding out some 4-star stuff. But there are some exceptions. There are, like this helmet. I've got a 3-star helmet here somewhere that I do still keep. But it's in a set that I don't have a lot of, and I know I'm probably going to want it. But don't hoard stuff. If it's got a bunch of flat stats, get rid of it. Use your filter, right? Go to your filter, go to your boots. Like I said, if it's not speed or defense, I don't want it. So if it's got flat defense, I do keep some attack percentage. If it's got flat attack, if it's got flat HP, right, you're not going to keep that at all. Just get rid of it. If I go up here to a weapon, right, now we're talking about substats. If it doesn't have speed, right, if it's got resistance on it, it better have something nice. Like here, yeah, it's got resistance, but I've got accuracy and I've got crit damage on it. Right? This piece, yes, it's got resistance, but it's also got attack percentage. Actually, that one should go. I don't know why that's there. This one, it's got crit rate. Right? It's a speed boot with crit rate. If that crit rate rolls at least twice, then I'm happy with that. If I get a resistance and an attack roll on my first 2 rolls, taking that to 8, I'm going to sell it. Right? So guys, that's kind of my overall view on gear, kind of where you can farm it from, what you should and shouldn't keep, and what mistakes not to make. And if you have any questions about gear, please feel free to let me know. If you have any comments about anything that I've said, please let me know. Make some comments below, and I definitely will read them all. Just again, I want to thank you guys all for coming out and listening to this video, watching this video. And please let me know, how can I do better? How can I improve my account? How can I make these videos better for you so that they're more interesting and you come back and watch them again? Take all the advice you can give me. Guys, again, thank you very much and have a wonderful, wonderful evening.